All right, so hello, welcome again to another exciting adventure. This is Meet the Authors, and today we're going to talk to Marie Pridgen about her book Morag and the Land of Tiernanog. We've got Justin here also, co-host, and Helen Claire Gould, and you may know her from her fiction. Did I drop that book? I put that book back from Flood Tide, which is a really amazing book. And there are also some more in the works. So definitely go check those out if you get a chance. All right. So, hey, Marie, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Thanks. Thanks for showing up. You're our first children's author on this.
I feel honored. I feel honored. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. So normally we have in the past, we've kind of restricted to science fiction because that's kind of what I write, or horror because that's what Justin writes.
That's weird.
Yeah, but we've expanded a little bit. so you're, but being a science fiction writer, and then there's a lot I don't know about children's books. So I'm glad you're here because I definitely want to hear about that process a little bit. Sure. Before we get started, let's talk about. I guess I'm kind of curious about your inspiration. I noticed you mentioned, at least in the copy that I have, dedication to your mom, to your mother, and was that, and what other inspirations, or including that, what drove you to put this book together?
Well, when I was a young child growing up, I grew up in Ireland, and my grandmother had passed before I had met her. And growing up back in the 60s and 70s, it was very cold in Ireland. And my mother would, if we didn't have a fire on, we didn't have hot water, the whole house would be froze, And so we would sit around the fire at night, and my mother would tell us stories about my grandmother's encounters with fairies. And it just, oh my God, it just inspired me. I was just enthralled by that. And then every Sunday I would go to a place called Golden Grove, and my uncle would take my sister and I out there on his bike, and we'd ride out there to find the fairies. And of course, every Sunday, he would spot them, of course, and of course we would spot them. And from that, my imagination just grew and grew. And then in school, we would write, we'd have essays and all that, right? And my English teacher would say, God, you have a knack for writing, but you also have the gift of the gab. So, but it was those stories that sparked that imagination in me. And I wanted to pass that along, because nowadays, a lot of children, they're into all these games, they're not playing outside, their imagination is gone, really. And I wanted to try and inspire them again, to transport them to another place, where it's magical and they can have an actual childhood. Yeah.
Well, I think you've succeeded in this book. The fairy, and especially the trees were the most probably entertaining part. The deceptive little trees.
They were so mean.
Oh yeah, the trees they're characters. Yeah, they are.
Yeah, if you haven't read the book yet, just you definitely should pick it up. And it's because usually when at least when I've read, it's nature is always so friendly and helpful, but
yes.
It turns out you can't. Nature is just nature. You got to do it. Sometimes it works for you, sometimes it works against you.
Yeah.
So the character in this book is she's definitely got that playful personality where she likes to like try out things, and you could kind of tell at the beginning of the book as you were moving through, even with as few words as you can get into a children's book, you can kind of tell that she's used to pushing boundaries. And she doesn't exactly listen as well as she
based off of me.
I was going to ask, where did that come from? That personal experience?
Yes, I mean, I'm the youngest, 6 children, and my sisters and my brother, they were very quiet and reserved, and I was this crazy thing that came out of God knows where. And I just had this wild imagination, and I always got not into trouble, but I was mischievous. But in a good way. I was a good child, but I was out there. So yeah. So Morag really is based on my personality.
Okay. And Morag, I've been calling her Morag, so Morag is the correct word.
Morag, yeah.
Morag?
Yeah, Morag.
Morag.
Morag, right?
Morag.
Morag.
Like that? I don't know. We're trying. Okay. But moving on. So that's children's books in particular. You were interested in doing that because children are your because of the creativity and the sparking and keeping children giving children fantastical stories so that they can kind of stretch their minds. And I really like
Yeah, and also too, and I wanted to gear it to also to sick children, children that are passing, they're in terminally ill children. I wanted them to be transported away from all their troubles and let them know that there's another place, maybe in some respects heaven, where nobody dies and everybody remains young forever. And when I was writing the book, I thought about them, maybe not having a childhood as blessed as I have been and other children. So I wanted that was an important element for me also, was to make sure that that sick children also had a place to go, get away from all that's going on with them.
Sure, that's great. I have some questions about the process as well.
Sure.
There's a lot of artwork in this, and I have some personal reasons for asking, because I'm actually thinking about working on a graphic novel. But I can't draw, so I looked at, but you have a lot of great.
I can draw.
Oh, thank you. Maybe
I didn't do the illustrations. I had the first book was just one lady who did the illustrations, and of course I told her what I wanted. And she got me. She understood. Like in my mind, even a raindrop on a leaf, I could see it very clearly, but I had to be able to express that to someone that could interpret what I was saying. And so the first lady, Tina Cargyle, she understood. She was fantastic to work with and everything. And so she got what I was trying to see, because I couldn't draw a straight line with a stick. And so in the second book, I had two artists do it. But with the artistry, the illustrations, really what tells the story. Because even though you're reading and you see these beautiful illustrations, then you can actually imagine yourself there. I wanted a book where you could open it up, children could open it up, even adults like this, they love it. But I wanted a book where you could actually see yourself in that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Visualize yourself in that world.
Yes, exactly. Right. Yeah. That was very important to me.
Yeah, and there's some great. This is not the. This is one an early edition.
Yes.
There's just an example of some of the illustrations that are in there.
Yes.
So is this Tina's work?
It is. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
There's another. It's probably a better picture. See.
Oh wow.
It looks like.
Isn't that beautiful? She's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, I really love the illustrations, and they were. I think they complemented the story very well.
Yes, and that's the cover. I decided when we were going through changing from the original, one, that I wanted this on the front, and then they were able to bring it to the back as well. So they did a marvelous job on it.
Yeah, you can't tell. There's also all this knot work on going down the sides here.
Yes.
Oh wow! The Celtic knots.
Yeah. The Celtic, yeah, and that was important. I wanted anything Celtic on there. I wanted it to be also be included, because these are Irish folklore stories. So I wanted to make sure that was on there too, to represent my folklore and my culture.
I remember being very impressed by Andre Norton's website. I think it was around the time that she died. She just had a new website done, and it had cabochon cut gems embedded in Celtic stuff, and it was fantastic. Turquoise and cornelian and all stuff like that. It was beautiful the way they'd done it, and every page was just so on this site was so beautiful.
Yes.
Well, I wanted to ask you about the folklore aspect of it. I know that, I'm not that versed in it, but I know, there's a lot of folklore regarding like Celtic, fairy legends and things like that.
Yeah.
Did you, you borrowed really heavily from that. Did you add any of your own elements?
I mean, yes. I mean, I listened to stories, like I said, from my mother passed down, but these are mine. I didn't take anything from my grandmother. I just took the inspiration and listening to what my mother told me growing up of her experiences. But these books that I just wrote, these are my own. They're not from my grandmother, but it's just the inspiration of her. Without my grandmother and mother, perhaps I wouldn't have been a children's author. So I am grateful of my childhood, but these are my own stories. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Is this a big seller in Ireland too?
It's doing well. Mostly it's just my friends, but in Ireland you can't sell books over there because you have to actually go through an Irish company, and you can't, like, I can't go to a store in Ireland and say, can you put my books in? It doesn't work that way. It's different. Yeah, unfortunately it's different. Yeah. So I
whereabouts in Ireland are you living in Ireland, or are you living in?
No, I'm living in Alabama right now. But
Alabama.
Yeah.
Right.
But I'm from Tipperary. You ever heard that song? It's a long way to Tipperary.
Tipperary, yeah.
Place. I'm from there.
Yeah, it's a long way, especially from Alabama.
Era, isn't it? So that's in Era.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Because I think I know I was friends with a young chap in my orbiter, one of my orbiters, James, and he was in Northern Ireland.
Yeah, now that belongs to the Crown. That belongs to Great Britain.
Yeah.
I'm from the Republic.
You're from the Republic, right?
We're looking at we went over to Amazon site. So when I went to buy your book, I only found the original one, not the new format that you're talking about.
Really?
Yeah, but no, this is earlier. This is like a month or two months ago.
Yeah. Oh,
I see it now, and I gotta say, I like some of the touch-ups, like the pages that the knot work that is now at the top and bottom of each page. I kind of like that strategy. That I'm curious, how did it happen that you went? Like, why did you have to go through separate publishing for the first one? Did you just want to redo the first one, or how did that happen?
I did. Publishing by myself, I really didn't know how to lay it out or anything like that. And so I said, well, my husband and I did it. And really, I hadn't a clue what we were doing, to be honest. And so I was at work one day and this woman came in, and my boss had bought that original book and he had it out there. And the lady said, this is a pretty book. Who wrote this book? And I said, I did. She said, I know these publishers will be very interested in your book. And I said, oh, I don't know. And she said, no, try them. So I had a meeting with them, and they said to me, would you ever think about redoing your book? And I said, actually, I'd love to do it, because to me, there was some empty pages and I didn't know, you could fill that with flowers and all of that. So, so we sat down with them, and then he got my book and redid the whole thing, and it was just beautiful. It's just amazing, So they put like flowers and different things. Like those pages might have been empty, just plain white. And so they went ahead and just redid it for me. And then of course I wanted the Celtic symbols and again on there, So they redid the whole book for me, and I was delighted, very, very pleased with it.
So that's interesting, because go ahead. Justin, were you going to say something?
No, just listening. I don't have any more insight.
I was curious about the publishing process, because a lot of like indie authors, your first round was indie publishing this novel, or this book, sorry, novel, and but your second round was traditional published. Did it come up in the conversation about the fact that you had published by yourself before? Did that have anything that come into play in the negotiations at all?
Didn't at all, actually. They were just, they had never had a children's author either. And I think that helped me tremendously. You know, they're into science fiction, and the publishing company that they're ex-military. And so that's why it's called Jumpmaster Press. And so, yeah, they're and my husband was ex-military, so I think that played a role in them wanting to support me, because my husband was also, you know, ex-military, and they want to help their own. And so so they were grand about everything, and they said no, there's no problem at all. They just redo the whole thing, so it was great.
Oh, good. Well, yeah. You're in good company. I'm a former Marine.
Ah.
I'm former Army.
Yeah, my husband's former Army. Yeah.
Okay.
So Chuck, looks like we should reach out to these Jumpmaster people.
I know, right? It sounds like it. Okay, so my daughter wants to share her favorite part of the story with you. What was your favorite part? Are you ready? Okay. Well, here, I'll turn this your way. All right. So what was your favorite part?
My favorite part was where they met the fox.
Fancy, yes.
The fox turned out to be a good guy. Is that a spoiler?
Don't spoil a book, Chuck.
All right, never mind.
Very good.
All right. Very good. Yeah, that's awesome. So, just because I don't know much about children's books,
I know much about children's books.
You do,
because I'm a child.
Yes. Do you happen to know about how much it costs to publish children's books, though?
Nope.
Okay. All right. Well, then I'll ask Marie. Okay. All right. So, So I'm curious about, did they hire the? You said you worked with 2 illustrators for the new versions.
Yeah.
Did the publishing company hire the illustrators, or did you have to find and hire?
They actually said that they had illustrators, but I wanted control over who I picked, because I wanted to make sure that they understood me. That when I met Tina, I was just thinking about, you know, writing a children's book, and I met with her, and she showed me some of her illustrations, and I was just blown away by it. So when it came time to redo the book and to do the second book, they asked me, the publishers, did I want their illustrators, and I said no. And so I researched myself illustrators, and the lady that the second lady in the second book, I researched her. She's from South Africa, and brilliant artist as well. And so for me, I wanted to do that for myself. So they were fine with that. They were so easy to work with, the Jumpmaster Press. They're just brilliant. They're so easy to work with. So that was not a problem at all.
Oh, fantastic. And that's
quite unusual, I think, from what I've heard.
Yes.
Because a lot of places, they will say, right, well, we'll organise, you know, all the other stuff. You just get on with the writing, you know, sort of thing.
No, not them. I mean, I told them, you know, from the beginning, I was upfront with them, and I said I already have my own illustrator, and I wanted to stay with her. And of course, in the second book, Tina was not available much. She was trying to get a master's degree. So I went and found another illustrator that I was very pleased with. And so I did show them, because I wanted to make sure that the flow was going to be
I was going to ask,
Yes. So I wanted to make sure the flow was the same. Now, in the second book, there will be a difference, because I didn't want her copying Tina, you know, because I wanted her to be herself. So Morag is different. So I came up with this idea that, okay, Morag is going to go through a metamorphosis in the second book. And that's what happened. But now in the third series, the lady from South Africa has got her down this time. And so I told her she has to be the same, because eventually she goes, the third book is going to be called The Journey Home. So Morag has to be the way she was at the beginning, but it worked out splendidly in the second book with her going through a metamorphosis, because it gave it another element to the story. Yeah.
Parallel elements as
would it
well.
be
Yes.
would it be too, my daughter wants to know what she changed into, or is it a, did she like change into a different
Physically.
creature, or was a different?
No, she just changed physically, because Morag is out in the mortal world, and you can only live there for a certain time. So, and see, in the second book, it's called the Capture of Morag. So that's where the metamorphosis comes in, because she's starting to fade, she's starting to die.
Oh.
So that's where it came in, but she doesn't, so we're good.
But there's a third book, Ariana, don't worry.
Yeah, there's a third book. Yeah.
She makes it. It would be a horrible experience for a children's book to go.
Yes, if she didn't make it. Yeah.
I'm
But
assuming that.
It has to be that way, because she is not a mortal human being. She's not mortal. She's a fairy. So her worlds and the mortal world collided. So naturally, she can't stay for very long.
What a great story. Right now I'm thinking about this as a series of novels. And that's a great trilogy you have there.
Thank you.
Yeah. And it sounds like it follows the traditional trilogy flow, where you've got the first one, you're starting this mythical journey, and then the second one, really bad things happen, but wait, maybe, and then you have the third one, and everybody,
Eats everybody.
Not eats everybody. Everybody lives like
Yes.
Nice non sequitur. Okay. Okay. Well, we've been chatting for about an hour, for about half an hour now, so I think we're ready to open up and just. We don't have to stick to children's books topics for now. We can just like talk about whatever we want to. If we do want to talk more about children's books, we can. Or more about.
That's great. So, Justin, what type of books do you write?
Ones that aren't finished yet.
Are you self-publishing, or do you go through? Have you got?
I haven't published anything. I write, and then I write it again, and I'm like, that's not good enough. So I just keep writing the same thing over and over again.
What about you, Helen?
I don't make a whole lot of progress.
Has anybody looked at your work for you?
Just Chuck.
I've gone through a few, and I've got to say that the storylines and the characters are really, really like deep, complex, and engaging, and really it's I think it's quality work. I mean, I think you should definitely
thank you, Chuck,
when you can. And that reminds me, I should probably share my first draft of Models and Citizens sometime.
Yeah.
It's even.
I think this is your first draft, right?
No, you didn't. You saw that was like saw draft number. That was 5 years of editing. Is the one that you saw the first time.
All right.
You just have to keep going over it and over it and over it, and you're sick and tired of it by the time it gets published.
Right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
But then you start to love it again once it's published,
So you were brilliant. What about you, Helen? What type do you write?
I write science fiction with a big dollop of fantasy.
Ooh, interesting.
I mean, sometimes I write what comes.
Yeah.
Sometimes I've got a small book which has a couple of very short horrors, or fairly short, one very short and one slightly longer horror stories in, and also a time travel story.
Oh, brilliant.
And then I've got another novel, like a novel. The time travel story is like a novelette. And then I've got another one, which is a standalone novelette, but it's still in the same universe as Flood Tide, whereas the She book is not.
Ah, okay.
But I've got a universe where you get the Zardothi, you get the, and the next two books are the Zardoth Imperative series, but that's what I'm working on at the moment. And then I've got the Van Janish. They appear in, or they don't appear, but the main character, Jordis, in Flood Tide, he plays the Van Janish Lamo harp, which he had learned from a student when he was at uni. And then you've got the Kiai, and you've got the Declaney, and so it is quite a well-developed universe. And,
yes.
I mean, I've just been writing ever since I was about 14. So, and I'm 67 now. So,
Are you living in Europe? Or are you in America?
I'm in England.
What part?
Cambridgeshire.
Ah, okay.
I live in Peterborough, UK.
Okay. And Charles,
you guys gonna get along?
What now?
You guys gonna get along? You and Helen?
Oh yes.
From Ireland and the UK.
No, we get along. Yes.
Yeah, no, I'm. To be honest, when you think about it, we've had this like 4 kingdoms, if you like, within the UK,
right.
And we all rub along pretty well generally, considering, don't we?
Yes.
Don't you think, Marie?
I know in the 70s it was a different story. Of course, with the IRA. And I don't support the IRA. We never supported the IRA. We just felt they were terrorists.
Right.
I think now everybody, gets along, and
yeah,
you have to.
I mean, in general, it's not too bad.
No,
I mean, the thing is, everybody makes jokes about each other, and they kind of they probably get a bit fed up with it,
Right.
It's pretty much taken in good part. Really.
Oh yes. I mean, you think about it. I mean, like my mother's and father's side of the family. Most of them, all my first cousins are in London, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, you have family, so you have to get along, really.
Yeah. Yeah,
family.
Of course.
I'll leave the politics out of it,
Yeah, I just think you can't sort of allow it to rule your life.
No, you can't.
No. How did you end up in Alabama?
What's that?
What do you mean? How did I end up here?
I was asking Merck. Yeah. Alabama from Ireland.
Ex-military. Well, I had moved to Germany when I was 18. And worked in Germany over there, and worked actually for the American government, hired by the German government as a local national. And then, out socializing, all the GIs were over there. And so that's where I met him, in Germany.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is known to happen occasionally.
So it was great time, great.
Well, that's
time.
how I met my wife in. I'm from Texas originally, so I met my wife when I was stationed outside of Washington D.C. And neither one of us are from D.C. She's actually from the West Coast, which is where I live now. So it happens.
It does. It really does. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But it's lovely in Alabama. It's cold right now, and I love the well, as you know, Helen, growing up, over there, we're freezing,
Yeah.
And
really, because it's quite temperate, really, here. Because I mean, I've been chatting to my friend Pat, who's in New York State. We Skype every weekend, and she can't believe that. You can look out the window and there's all green stuff around because they've got a layer of snow a lot of the time.
No, it's Alabama's very hot, in the summertime.
In the summer,
I love it though, because growing up at home, I mean, there's no insulation in your houses or anything, and we, had an open fire, and if you didn't have any turf that we, briquettes turf to light the fire, we didn't have hot water, and so if my mother didn't have the fire on, them we couldn't.
Did you have an outside loo?
My uncle's. Oh yeah. But I didn't grow up with that. But all of
Ah.
my uncles did, yeah. And
Oh,
Frodo,
I did. I definitely. I had
my
knots.
God.
Imagine having to put your coat on and everything to rush down the end of the garden or whatever at night.
Down the garden, and then to have this door, you know, you just step in and it's just made out of, you know, cement, and
Yeah.
be frozen there, trying to go
Oh.
pee. Yeah. So I felt very blessed when I could go home and use the nice warm bathroom if the fire was on.
Yeah.
It's a little thing, but you know.
I mean,
Yeah.
that wasn't so long ago, you know. You know, we didn't have dishwashers, and we were the dishwashers, and you know,
I can't
you
live
wash
without
your
my
clothes in the
dishwasher now.
you know, so you know, it was a different world, really. Different.
Yeah, it was actually.
I spent a few months in Alabama.
Get that poster for you. I'll be back in a sec.
Okay.
I'm just
For now.
stop my video.
Was that Justin?
I was telling Maria I spent a few months in Alabama in Army Aviation School.
Where were
Fort
you?
Rucker.
Fort
Fort
Rucker.
Rucker.
That's where my
Yep.
husband's parents are from. They're at the back side of that. In Fort
Okay.
Rucker.
Like in Dothan.
No, they're towards Geneva,
Okay.
Hartford, Geneva. Yeah.
Yeah.
Small
Yeah, it was
world.
hot. I was there in like July and August.
Oh,
It was warm.
yes, yes, melting. But it's warm though too, isn't it, in Texas? And I'm sorry, Justin, where do you live?
I live in Seattle.
Oh, we were stationed in Tacoma.
Okay,
Stewart.
Fort Lewis.
Fort Lewis, sorry, Fort Lewis, yeah.
Yeah.
For 2 years. It was beautiful. But then again, it was so cold.
Yeah.
But it's a beautiful place though, yeah. Yeah. And you're living in California?
Oh, me? No, I'm in Portland.
Oh, in Portland.
Yeah,
Okay.
I did live in outside of Seattle, like where near Justin actually. We moved this summer.
Ah,
Yeah. Trying to find warmer temperatures.
I
Didn't
know.
move far enough for that.
No.
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 We're looking at moving to Costa Rica, Chuck.
Whoa, that's a jaunt. That's a jaunt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, are you both do you have publishers? Well, I know, Justin, you've not published anything, but Charles, what about you?
No, I have books that I've reserved that I am currently shopping around to traditional publishers. But but most of my books are self-published.
Published. I will say that Master Press, they're brilliant. Like it didn't cost me a thing to publish with them.
Yeah, I just looked on their website and they're like, send us the first 3 chapters of your book and we'll see what we think.
They're brilliant, and they're brilliant to work with, you know, and really, I've really had a wonderful experience with them. So if you're looking for publishers, you might want to consider them, you know.
I will.
Ex-military as well, you know, they probably love that, you know.
Sure.
And they're here locally. I live in Penson, and they're down there in Alabaster, so they're right there, you know, for me. But they're really good fellas, yeah. And I love that they're ex-military as well, you know, because you're supporting that system that you're in, you know. So
sure.
Yeah.
I think they've been in business maybe 10 years or maybe a little less, but they have a whole genre of authors, you know. But like the 2 main guys, Kyle Hanna and Gene Rowley, they're into science fiction, you know. They write their own science fiction and they're very good.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll definitely reach out to
publishers.
Pardon?
So definitely reach out to these guys.
Yeah, you should. You definitely should, Charles. And I think you would like them. They've got great personalities. They're just very nice people. So, yes, Helen, I was telling Charles and Justin about my publishers. You know, I didn't know they had a publisher. And of course, I know Justin, hadn't published anything yet, but there's a thought for you. You know, if you were to think about that, you could contact them. They're pretty good.
All right.
I sure
What is
will.
the name of the publishers again?
Jump Master Press.
Jump Master Press.
Yes.
Right. Oh, okay. Is that all one word?
Jump Master and then Press. Yeah.
I'll throw up a link on our website too, on my website, just to make it available to people.
Yeah.
All right. Did you?
A few minutes. Yeah. Yeah. I'll be there as soon as probably about 20 minutes. Sorry about that.
We're frustrated, Helen.
It's Mum's taxi service.
Oh,
Of course.
I will need to pick my son up in a bit, but
oh yeah.
it's all right. I can ring him when I get off. You know. Yeah.
Did you have a poster that you wanted to share, Helen?
I was just going to show you this.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
So she said, oh, can you do this book signing then? And I said, well, there is this. I would love to do it, but there is this. I know lots of other authors. So would you like me to bring a few more? So she said, yeah, I'd love them, because she's a big fantasy fan. So basically, I contacted Jackie Watts, who is a sort of, she writes about witches and stuff, but in a modern setting.
Yeah.
And then Debbie is a children's fantasy author.
Ooh.
And she's got these sort of elf characters.
Oh, lovely. Yeah.
And it's so it should be a really fun afternoon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds exciting.
Yes.
All right. Well, I think we've been going for a while now, so I think let's go ahead and start winding it down a little bit. Thank you, Marie. Did I pronounce your last name correctly? I'm very proud.
Absolutely did, right? Yeah.
Okay, so Marie Pridgen, and the book is, I'll let you say the title.
It's Morag and the Land of Tunanoig.
And you have 2 additional books, right? One of them is published now, and one of them's in the works.
Yes. The third book I've just started on, Journey Home. But the second book that just came out in December is called The Capture of Morag.
I'm writing the names down so I can go buy them, because my daughter loves them.
Thank you.
Oh, sure. And I'm gonna have to buy another copy of the first edition too, because I got to get the new artwork.
The first, it's you go through Jump Master Press.
Oh, okay. I can buy it from their site. Okay. I'll do that.
Dr. Jean or Kyle. Yeah, they're great fellows.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you, and
thank you,
Marie, for joining us. Thank you, Helen, for joining us as well.
Lovely to meet you both. And Charles, lovely to meet you. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Well, we do this once a month. You're always welcome to join, and we usually have a few more authors as well.
Yes, I would love that. Please send me.
Yeah, we're kind of short today. I don't know where the rest of the people are, but we usually have a couple more authors too.
Yep.
Brilliant. I would love that.
Excellent.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Well, that's how I started coming to this as well.
All right.
Very good.
Yeah. I was Chuck's guest it was about a year ago.
Had to have been a year ago, yeah.
So and I didn't realise at first that he'd added me to the group, and then we got in touch, and I've been going when I can,
Just kind of send people. I have this group of authors, and by the way, I've talked to most of them, and everybody's willing and able to help when they are willing to help when they can, and that's kind of important. So, Marie, that if you don't mind, I'd like to add you to that list also. And,
I'd love that. I'd be honored. Thanks very much.
Sure. Add you there. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful Saturday. Appreciate it.
Have a lovely weekend, and
it was great.
Soon.
Great seeing you guys. We'll see you next time.
All right, see you again.
I'll see you in February, Helen.
Yeah.
There you go.
Are you coming to the Sunday one, the 6th of Feb, to see what goes on? Because Marie, I run a thing called Fiction Fix, which is like a sort of open mic night, but it's not a night anymore, it's an afternoon, and it's kind of I like to arrange things in advance who's going to come, but you'll probably get an invite at some point to come and read some of the stuff.
I would love that, Helen. Thanks very much.
Fantastic. That'd be brilliant.
All right. See you later, guys.
I'll see you. Bye.
Cheery, bye.
Bye-bye. Cheerio.
Weekend.